Hey guys, Coach Joe here. Welcome to this week's Think About It Thursday. Should you exercise when you're sick? Well, let's start with talking about how exercise affects our body or affects our immune system. So if we're looking at a short, vigorous bout of exercise, it doesn't really affect our immune system very heavily. If we go into a little bit longer duration, moderate intensity exercise session, it can actually improve and boost your immunity and make you more resilient when it comes to being sick. If we look at a longer duration exercise session of 2 hours or more, then it can actually decrease your immunity or affect your immune system in a negative way, and you can be more susceptible to becoming sick within a certain period of time after those longer exercise sessions. So exercise is a stress to our body, much like many other stresses in life. However, there's tons and tons of other positive benefits that come along with exercise outside of how it can affect your immune system if you go really hard. But if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. If you break your body down for a long period of time, it needs to recover. If you do it for a short period of time, it doesn't affect you that much. And then if you do it the right amount of time, with the right intensity, then you actually get stronger for it. So it's kind of like how resistance training works for our body. Which, by the way, resistance training also improves your immunity. So strength training, very, very important. But back to the topic. Should you exercise whenever you are sick? The simplest way to look at it, and I got this from Precision Nutrition, it's a really effective way and simple way to look at exercising when you're sick, is if your symptoms are above the chest, so mostly around the neck and the nose, outside of a fever, so think sore throat, runny nose, coughing, might have a little bit of a headache, but you don't have a fever, you should be good to go to exercise. In terms of intensity, just allow your symptoms to be your guide. So if you exercise and it makes you feel worse, you did too much, you can move on from that next time. Take it easy a little bit the following time when you come back into the gym. Now, if your symptoms are below the neck, so we've got muscle aches, joint aches, we've got diarrhea, we're vomiting, or maybe we vomited once during the day, or severe stomach pain or some kind of stomach pain, then more than likely you need to take a break and lay off the exercise or go very, very low intensity. And in 99.9% of the cases definitely with 100% with a fever or some of those other things I mentioned below the neck, don't exercise at all because more than likely it's going to make you feel worse. So let's look at this on a day-by-day approach. Let's put it into, let's say, 4 days. So it's day one. I start to get a sore throat. I'm getting a little bit sick. I've been coughing a little bit. I want to work out because I need to work out. You know, for me, it helps me with anxiety and stress, and it gives me what I need to get through the week. So I still go to work out even though I've got a sore throat. I go pretty intense, but I feel okay, or I don't feel any worse. So the next day, nothing has gotten worse in my symptoms. They haven't gotten better, but they're about the same. So I've still got that sore throat and a little bit of a cough. I can go in and exercise again on day two, and I can actually crank it up a notch or go a little bit longer, one or the other, as long as my symptoms did not get any worse. Day three, I can go a little bit longer, still keeping that intensity the same as day two. So that intensity level will be a heart rate of about 150 beats per minute or lower. So you can get fairly intense at 150 beats per minute, but it's not going to take you into that high intensity range. And you can lift pretty heavy and keep your heart rate below that range as long as your symptoms don't get any worse. Now, day four, if we're at a point where our symptoms are starting to go away, you're good to go just to get after it. Again, these are all those symptoms that are above the chest outside of a fever. Now, if your symptoms are below the neck, then almost none of that applies. Or if you have a fever, we're not going to exercise. Just take some time off. So let's say your symptoms are below the neck and you have to take some time off, maybe because you visited the doctor and they advised you to take some time off, or you have a good feel for your symptoms and you know you should. Let's say you take 3 full days off from exercise, then you need to spend at least 3 full days working yourself back in a little bit at a time. So much like what I just laid out over that 4-day plan, you want to utilize that. Start shorter duration exercise, low intensity, increase in duration, keeping it low intensity the next day based on how your symptoms are, and so on and so forth from there. Again, letting your symptoms be your guide and overall how you feel about it. But when we look at exercise as a whole, when you're sick, you are good to go to exercise when you're sick if your symptoms are above the chest outside of a fever. If they're below, lay off of it. Hopefully you learned a little bit from this week's Think About It Thursday. If you have any questions at all, please toss them in the comments below, and I will get back to them as soon as I can. Have an awesome day, guys.